Hi, you are welcome once again to my channel. I'm glad to have you here. We are going to look at the screening for type 2 diabetes. Now, in case you don't know what is diabetes, I've done a video on that in which I talk about the type 1 diabetes. So in case you don't watch it, I'll leave it inside at the top of this video. Make sure you check it out so that you abreast yourself with what is type 1 diabetes before you come to the type 2 diabetes. Okay, now, type 2 diabetes is more frequent than type 1 diabetes. And I'm going to give you 8 groups of people in which we need to screen to see if they are about to develop type 2 diabetes. Now, the questions I want to ask will be, what is type 2 diabetes? Now, in type 1 diabetes, there is total absence of insulin. That is the reason why they give insulin injection as the treatment for type 1 diabetes. But when we come to type 2 diabetes, in type 2 diabetes, the pancreas still produces insulin, but just that it's not enough to cover the needs of the body. So that is why, if you want to treat type 2 diabetes, we either help the body to produce more insulin, or we improve the sensitivity of the cells to the insulin. That is why we have the food method, whereby you eat very good food with low amount of carbohydrate food and physical exercise, and then the anti-diabetic drugs which you take orally. We don't have injection in type 2 diabetes. Now, this age group of people are people who are at risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So in case you fall in any of this group, make sure you check your glycated hemoglobin, or you take a sample of your blood whereby the amount of glucose inside your blood is checked. There's a value and it needs to fall within that range. I'll talk about that in another video. Okay, so now let's look at this group of people. The number one is anybody with age from 40 years and above. Now this value differs by country by country. For example, in the US, people who are 45 years, it starts from 45 years and above. In Morocco, we are from 40 years and above. In Ghana, 40 years and above. In the UK, Canada, they all go by the 40 years and above. Now, if you are pregnant and during the pregnancy you develop diabetes, which we call gestational diabetes, you have a high risk of developing diabetes in the future. So you should check. Now, in case you have a child who is very big, which we call macrosomia, a child that has more than 5 kilograms. Normally, a normal child should not weigh more than 5 kilograms. But in case you have a child weighing from 5 kilograms and upwards, we say what? That child is called macrosomic child. And why is that so? Because during the time the baby was in the uterus, it has absorbed a large amount of glucose to the extent that it has grown big. So wherever there's glucose, there's growth. That's the reason why the child is very big. So in case during your pregnancy, you give birth to a macrosomic infant, there's a high chance that you will develop type 2 diabetes. And if you have hypertension, there's a high risk that you will develop type 2 diabetes. Now, when you have abdominal obesity, how does the abdomen become big? It becomes big when there is storage of excess glucose. Excess glucose is being stored as fat. So if you have abdominal fat or abdominal obesity, you are at high risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And if your parents too are diabetic, know that you are at a high risk of developing type 2 diabetes, because it is your parents that have donated their chromosomes to form you. And if they are carrying the genes for diabetes, you are at high risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And there are some people with polykystic ovarian syndrome. Now, this is a process whereby the ovaries produce more of male hormones, which are called the androgens, which are higher in these people than the normal female. And when that happens, there's high risk of insulin resistance. And one of the causes of type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance. So any condition that will give you high insulin resistance will lead you to formation of type 2 diabetes. And I'll talk about this, the polycystic ovarian syndrome, in a complete video. Okay, the final group of people who are at risk of developing type 2 diabetes are those with dark discoloration on a part of their body, either in the armpit region, the groin, or the neck. Now, this discoloration is called Acanthosis nigricans. Now, this Acanthosis nigricans comes as a result of insulin resistance. Now, how does type 2 diabetes come about? It comes about when there is insulin resistance and reduction in the sensitivity of the cells to insulin. Any process that will give you insulin resistance will automatically make you likely to develop type 2 diabetes. Hi, I hope that video was helpful to you. Kindly subscribe and get access to similar videos. Like, ask your questions in the comment section, and share with your loved ones so that they can also benefit. Thank you for watching.